scored?
Yeah, we scored going to the playoffs.
I can't believe I missed that.
Every time I'm buzzed, I spend too much time on my phone.
What? I should take your phone away.
No. I'll call for a ride. Wait, why does my face look like that?
I'm playing with these new face filters.
Okay, you know what? Yep, that's mine.
Kevin, I need that back.
No.
Kevin!
I'm Ryan Newman, and since I started with Indiana Donor Network and Driven to Save Lives, I found out that some people think that they can't be an organ donor. The truth is, anyone can sign up to be an organ donor.
Anyone?
Anyone?
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Anyone can sign up to be an organ donor. So don't count yourself out because somebody's counting on you. Go to driventosavelives.org and sign up today.
But my heart's going to you, Ryan.
Love that shirt.
Welcome to the 34 Motorsports Product Showcase. We're proud to offer the full line of Simpson Racing safety products. The Shark Speedway is a perfect brain bucket to keep your melon as safe as possible. We carry every model and size of Hans device, and these have saved countless lives. The Hybrid Pro Lite is an alternative to the Hans device and is just as effective. The DNA 3-layer suit offers maximum protection when things get hot. And hey dude, those comfy shoes won't help one bit when things go south. Keep those hands ready to work with a pair of Vortex FIA gloves meeting every current standard. From 5 to 7 points, we carry every one of the Simpson harnesses, keeping your rear end right where it should be. Keep all your gear clean and together with the helmet and FHR bag, and always be ready to hop in a race car. Visit 34motorsports.com and order today. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. After a race that had beef at the end of it, we might have a little bit more coming here as the Indy Pro 2000 Championship going to take on Watkins Glen International. Oh my goodness, I cannot wait. My name is Chris Graham, joined in the booth as always by Mr. James Watson. Qualifications just getting underway here. I'll tell you what, James, this is now 5 whatever straight seasons or 5 and 7 or whatever that we've done this. Going to the boot, this place always puts on a great race for Indy Pro.
It really does. Like, this track is just perfect for it. I don't know if it's because of the fact that this is American open wheel cars on the quintessential American road course, but like it just does not feel right to not have the Glen on the PM18 schedule. Like all is right in the world when we're coming to this nice little part of New York.
The Finger Lakes region is absolutely beautiful. I'll tell you what else is beautiful. The points battle. 2 weeks in, 6 points separating first place David Porcelli from third place Everett Paddock. 3 points between Porcelli and second place Chris Preston. 3 back to Paddock in third. And James, it is so early in the season, you can't even count out guys like Nagiso Ishikawa, Brian Labarge, Carl Lemkuhl. They might be 100-plus points back, but that just means they used a drop week.
Right? Like, this is another draft-heavy racetrack. Like, theoretically, we could have a pretty decent train of cars. And we've got some crazy tracks left on the schedule. I mean, heck, next week is Oval Week. So, stuff is going to be all topsy-turvy with the Oval Ringers like Andrew and Wes and J09 up at the front and me, provided I can actually be at the front instead of, dying in the mid-pack like I always seem to.
Well, as we look at it here, down to 5 minutes left in qualifying. First laps are going to be coming up on the board here real shortly. The I rating on this one, 33.63. We're doing it again, week in and week out. Outside of the Road to Pro stuff and the pro level stuff, this is one of the best I rating fields in the platform, quite frankly. It's a lot of fun to watch these guys, especially as we watch different contenders kind of come and go week in and week out now.
Yeah, it's crazy with how the field splits. We just get enough of the heavy hitters to where we just get these gargantuan splits. It's like, I feel like I'm looking at a Silver Crown race when I see how overpowered these SOFs are.
Yeah, they're impressive, to say the least. And how about 39 cars on the entry list? We have a 20-car field here at Watkins Glen. Everett Paddock going quick time, top of the board, 1 minute 39.21 seconds. It's a half second back to third place, Alex Rassi. Man, this is a pretty tight field. It's 2.5 seconds back to 16th place, Dylan Vilashinsky. And we still haven't seen David Porcelli, Kylo Ciacelli, or Stephen Thompson set a lap yet.
Yeah, we're really going to see some monster lap times. I'm really kind of curious to see what Thompson is going to do. We don't see him a whole heck of a lot up in the top split, but I think he's always had pretty good pace to stay up here, so I'm really curious to see what he can do with that.
Well, lap number 1 for Stephen C. Thompson going to be 15th quick, 1 minute 41.211. Following along here with Chris Preston as he is setting lap number 2. Everett Paddock completing his second lap. Does not improve. Richard Holt with a great lap up to second quick, 139.413. Preston's lap number 2 does not improve. So he is going to line up fourth quick. David Porcelli now working his second lap, and he was third quick on lap number 1. Porcelli sitting 1 minute 39.48. Everett Paddock, best lap time, my goodness, 139.057. 36 hundredths of a second quicker than Richard Holt's best lap. That is a monster lap from Everett Paddock.
Good Lord. That's just slapping your stuff on the table and say, beat that.
There's so many jokes to be made there, James. I honestly don't know which one of them to take.
There's so many jokes that could be made about that statement, and we can't make any of them.
Yeah, I was going to say, we got to stay a little family friendly.
That's how you know it's a great joke.
Porcelli just coming around here. He's got a couple of corners left to complete lap number 2. Last driver after Porcelli to get a lap in will be Kylo Ciacelli. Kylo currently 15th on the board. 1.3 seconds back of the quick time. Checkered flag in the air for David Porcelli. Second quick, 139.268. Closes the gap a little, but not nearly enough. What a monster lap from Everett Paddock to put it up on the pole. Pick up Kylo Ciacelli here as he is working just about to get out of the boot. This is one of the trickiest corners in all of motorsports. It goes off camber to flat. Difficult. In fact, hearing the drivers, some of them talking in the pre-race about, it feels like it should be a third gear corner, but you have to take it in second, regardless of what your setup characteristics are, which then means it's easy to get the crazy oversteer and stuff. That really is a difficult corner.
It really is. Like, so many great races have been killed at that corner. It's just so hard to... Because of the camber, you just feel both ends of the car wash out. So you're always kind of unsure about the actual level of grip you have. So sometimes you kind of understeer out, or sometimes you just loop it. It's so easy to completely screw up that corner.
Well, as we're getting the field piling in here onto the grid, let's take a look at the starting lineup for tonight's race. Monster lap from Everett Paddock, 139.057, puts him on the pole. 2/10 back, going to be David Porcelli in second position. Richard Holt, Chris Preston going to occupy row number 2 for this one. Carl Lemkool and Nicholas Daly on row number 3. Jay Dixon, Alex Rassi on row 4. Row 5 will have Nagisio Shikawa and Frankie D. Row 6, Kylo Ciacelli and Rod Eskew. Row 7, Derek Love and Benjamin Kopke. Russ Addy, Terry Taylor on row 8. Wes Shire, Stephen Thompson, row number 9. And row 10, Jason Miller and Dylan Vilashinsky. 20 cars lined up on the grid for this one. Going to be an absolutely spectacular show. Still waiting on our top 2 to get on the grid. There's Everett Paddock. Just waiting on David Porcelli. He's got about a minute. Actually, no, not much time left at all, actually, for David Porcelli to get on the grid. Little bit of a connection blink there from Paddock. There's David Porcelli popping on the grid. 20 cars lined up. We will be down and away for the pace lap here in just a moment. So, James, let's talk through a lap here at Watkins Glen International, at least the vast majority of a lap here. Turn 1, the 90. Well, it's a 90-degree right-hander. Little bit of banking on it. Kind of spits you out a little bit awkward, though. So easy to carry way too much speed through there.
Yeah, it's really easy because you have a pretty, for this track at least, a pretty steep decline going down into the braking zone for turn 1. So if you're just off a little bit, you're just going to slide up the apex, slide onto the exit curve, and you have to be kind of easy with that. Otherwise, you get a 1X, and you run the risk of hooking on the middle of that curve, because there's like this little lip in the middle of the exit curve, and if you're not smart with how you go over it, you can easily hook it and hook yourself into the inside wall. And then we all know the S's are not tough. Not as much of a struggle in these cars because of all the downforce, but you still kind of have to be on your game.
Yeah, well, that's where a lot of the drafting comes into play. And then we see the dive bombs here into the inner loop. You really have to get this part of the racetrack almost perfect because you're going to run the outer loop or the carousel, but it's not the full way around. It spits you off down into the boot about 2/3 of the way through the corner.
Yeah, you have to be really easy on the first curb for the bus stop. You kind of have to hit it at a certain way. Otherwise, you're just going to launch up, land. The landing is going to upset the car, and, well, bad things happen. Because, like, if you look during the race, you'll see a lot of the cars will full-on jump over that curb, and then you have all that speed through the carousel down into the first, the kind of the lip of the boot, where you don't really have many great braking markers. And again, another downhill braking zone, so it's really easy to overshoot that. And you don't have any runoff, so yeah, if you overshoot that, you're not really going to survive, more than likely.
Just seeing the field come through the toe of the boot, that's another notoriously difficult corner. It's not a tough corner. It's a tough corner to get right. The same thing is true here at the heel of the boot. It's a big sweeping right-hander, but incredibly easy to get yourself offline at the exit, which then kind of screws the pooch up here for, what is it, turn 9, I guess it is?
Something to that effect.
This one's tough. Turn 10, you're starting to think I'm almost home. Except you carry a little bit too much speed through here. It's going to spit you out into the gravel on the right-hand side of the racetrack. A lot of runoff there now to work with to save the car. Into the final corner, another basically 90-degree right-hander. Pace car is going to make the turn in, and as always, race fans, the start of this one going to be all yours. Oh, 3, 4, almost 5 wide through the 90. I think they all got through it.
Lord.
The front of the field single files out. They're going to start to play nicely. Well, at least a little bit anyway. David Porcelli able to get around Everett Paddock. A little bit of a miscue there for Paddock as he's back. Oh, we've got carnage.
Oh, man.
Carnage in the boot. Frankie D is going to be involved in that one, I think. Yeah, Kylo Ciacelli was involved in that one as well. Let's pick the front of the field back up, get through lap number 1, and then we'll go back and look at the replay. Looks like the top 7 going to be lined up pretty much nose to tail. 8th to 13th, again in another small pack. Frankie D has to take the toe back into the pits. Benjamin Kopke going to be involved in that. Kylo Ciacelli and Stephen Thompson may have gotten a piece of that action at the back of the field as well.
I knew something was gonna happen. I just didn't know where.
Big wide exit at turn number 10 for David Porcelli, but he's going to hold on to the race lead. He'll be your leader after 1 lap, 17 to go. Jay Dixon on pit lane, as is Kylo Ciacelli. Let's take a look here. First, let's check the carnage that happened down into the boot here. They never really got settled down. Oh, one car just way overshooting the mark.
Oh.
Several cars going to get clipped. And that's kind of all she wrote. Tough break there. Kylo going to be really frustrated there. In fact, he will be out of this race.
It really didn't seem like there was much damage.
As you mentioned, James, trouble for Derek Love here as well. This is going to be out of turn number 11, just a little bit too much and hard into the safer barrier. And I'll tell you what, we missed it while we were checking out the replays. Let's go back and get you one here. Out of the S's, Chris Preston with a wide move on David Porcelli. He grabs the race lead into the inner loop. So that's going to make it Preston, Porcelli, Paddock, your top three. I'll tell you what, James, probably the biggest loser out of the start of this race has got to be Everett Paddock. He was 0.2 quicker than the entire field in qualifying. A pass on lap 1, a pass on lap 2. Now all of a sudden he's sitting back in third.
Yeah, and he's got 2 teammates behind him too. Curious to see how the dynamic is going to work for that. I feel like we're going to see a decent amount of swapping back and forth between the two just to try to keep Everett behind. And as I say that...
2 for 1. Thank you, sir. May I have another? Everett Paddock through to the race lead. Just a monster tow. Chris Preston set the fastest lap of the race last time by. Almost got into Paddock in the middle of the outer loop. The lap time for Preston, 1:39.852. I tell you what, we can't sleep on Richard Holt here running back into 4th position either. As we see trouble on the racetrack for Alex Rassi. He was running a little bit towards the back of the pack. We'll get you the replay on that one in just a moment, but want to keep our eyes on this battle here at the front of the field because Chris Preston absolutely hounding Everett Paddock. James, this is one of those tracks where we do have to talk about the draft as well. Carl Lemkool currently running in the 5th position. If your top 4 get to battling really hot and heavy, it's going to open the door for Lemkool, Nagisa Yoshikawa, even Nicholas Daly, who's almost 5 seconds back in the leaders, to catch up.
I told you this might end up being a long train of cars for this race. For once, I might have not actually been talking out my rear.
Preston with a big dive up the inside. He'll get, well, maybe. Yeah, he'll get the pass completed. Fantastic low angle shot there. Preston able to complete the pass as Everett Paddock set the fastest lap of the race last time by. 1:39.738. Carl Lemkool gained 0.6 of a second on the race leader. Now he's down to 1.1 seconds. He is fully within draft range at this point, correct?
He's close. I feel like if they're side by side going into the bus stop again the next lap, I feel like that might be just enough to bring those two back into the fray.
Matt Wagner's checking into the comments. We went to talk to him while he was on pit lane, telling us he was unavoidably detained. He was in the restroom at the moment. Thanks for the information, Matt. Maybe a little bit too much, but we'll take it. Chris Preston holding on to the race lead. Everett Paddock, David Porcelli are going to get a monster draft.
Oh, Lord.
They're squeezing out 3 wide again into the inner loop. Wow, what a pass by Porcelli. That's a gutsy move. I'll tell you what, though, James, it's really the move you have to make here.
My anxiety take watching this. This race is going to be pure insanity. I can feel it. We thought Esra Indy was chaotic.
Yeah, that one was 4 wide through turn 2 at Pocono, which is not a good idea. We saw a little bit of that early, trying to overshoot the bus stop and go 3 or 4 wide. The difference here, James, is right now we're seeing some give and take amongst the leaders. We're not going to see that 7 laps from now.
And that's exactly why my anxiety is kicking in. Because I have no idea what's gonna happen, and I own like half the cars in this 6-car battle. So I feel like I'm gonna have stuff to deal with after this race, which I don't want to deal with. So keep it clean, everybody.
Boss man says play nice. They will for a little bit. We can say it that way. How about Porcelli driving the move up through the S's? Who does Everett Paddock decide to go with? Because at this point, he is going to have a huge run. How about neither? He's going to go up the middle. Ooh, a little bit wide through the middle of the bus stop for Porcelli. Going to force Paddock to get the binders just a little bit. That's brought Richard Holt into it. Carl Lempool's there, as is Nagisa Yoshikawa. And Nicholas Daly and Rod Eskew are closing quickly. We could have an 8-car battle for the lead here before this is, heck, even to the halfway point.
Whoa, big wiggle from David.
Wow. That's what I do, but I spin and hit things. That toe of the boot absolutely drives me nuts.
Well, I usually end, it's 50-50. Sometimes I save it, sometimes I end up in the wall with you.
Take a look at the replay here. Man, these guys are all over the place. Take a look, see what happened to Alex Rassier a couple of laps ago here. This one coming out of the carousel. Oh, he just had a pull-off. The pull-out game was strong there for Alex Rassi.
Part of me wonders if he forgot which layout we were on, but I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt and say he had sort of mechanical failure.
Yeah, I believe he is done, as is Benjamin Kopke, Derek Love, Jay Dixon, and Frankie D. As Everett Paddock goes back around David Porcelli for second. Chris Preston starting to open up a little bit of a gap here. And quite frankly, James, the rest of 2, 3, 4 all the way back, they may have to play nice here for a couple of laps just so they get caught back up.
Yeah, you just hope that everyone gets the memo. That's the worst thing about a draft train, is that you always get 1 to 2 guys that don't understand what's at play, and they tend to battle a little harder than they should, and it just costs everyone the draft.
Matt Wagner's checking in the comments. He had to go bathroom too. Oh man, that was awesome.
That's fantastic.
Going to be 11 laps to go, this time by the start-finish line. Whole lot of action here at the front of the field, and quite frankly, everybody else is playing pretty nicely here, as Everett Paddock just set a new fastest lap for the race. First car in the 139s, 139.635. Actually, no, I'm sorry, 2 cars. Chris Preston also down in the 139s as well, but Paddock about 0.2 quicker or so than what Preston's quick lap was. And I'll tell you what, James, the insanity really isn't over yet for this schedule, even after we get through tonight. You mentioned next week is Oval Week. It's Phoenix with the open dogleg. Then we're going to follow it up Fuji, Homestead, Road Atlanta, and then Motegi in Week 7 for the second oval of the season. This is a lot of bad, fast race courses we're going to have here this season.
Yeah, I'm really seeing how Fuji is going to work with this car and the ridiculously long straight. Like, as long as you can get through the corners, like mediocrely well, you can stay within the fight. You're going to take a pretty decent stake to lose the draft. I wonder if we're even going to top out like we were at old Indy Road Course.
It's a great question. You may run out of gear stack on that the monstrously long front straightaway at Fuji. And so many high-speed corners there, too. Turn 2 is flat. Turn 3... I mean, the whole 100R complex is going to be massively quick in these cars.
There's going to be a lot of flat out.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be awesome. I can't wait. Battle for the lead heating up into the bus stop. Chris Preston around Everett Paddock. Oh, man, and Paddock going to have to deal now with Porcelli because he did not get a great exit out of the inner loop. And like we said, James, they played nice for a couple of laps, and now we're right back to 4 or 5 cars having a shot at the win.
Right? I was telling you, look at that. We're only... Price is kind of dropped off a little bit, though.
Only other battle that's really out here on the racetrack, you could just see at the back end of your screen, Nagiso Shikawa, Nicholas Daly, Carl Lemkool. They're fairly close, not as close as the rest of the leaders are. Everybody else separated by more than a second throughout the field.
Kind of surprising, actually.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. What we're seeing at the front, we kind of see in several packs throughout the race. So you'll get like 4 or 5 cars, 4 or 5 cars, 4 or 5 cars with maybe 2 or 3 seconds between them. It's kind of rare that you get the really crazy gaps that we have at the back here.
Yeah, where you just have one car just putting around by itself for the entire race.
Paddock around Preston. Oh, man, Preston's going to be right there at the exit of the inner loop. Peeks out, gets himself a little bit of air on the nose. How about Richard Holt starting to make the move? I'll tell you what, if David Porcelli has a loose handling race car, he's really got to watch, because a little bit of a bobble, and all of a sudden Richard Holt's running you over. Oh, and Holt gets loose!
Oh.
What a save!
Wow! That count as a commentator's curse?
Yeah, it does, unfortunately. I do have to lay claim to that one.
Hey, it's not me this time.
However, that was very Montoya-esque in the old Target Chip Ganassi lightning bolts to make that kind of save. Actually, that's even Alex Zanardi level of save there.
Yeah. Holt in the bolt with the save. I can hear the here.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose it's now a 3-car battle.
Yeah, at least temporarily anyway, as the gap is up to 2.2 seconds. However, if this group decides to play nicely back here, this second pack of cars, once the leaders start battling like knuckleheads again, they're going to close the gap in. I mean, again, we're too wide into the inner loop. Oh, man, again, not a great corner for Paddock. In fact, big bobble there.
Wow.
He's going to give up second to Porcelli and lose a bunch of time in the process.
Oh, this gut check moment for Everett. He's got to put up qualifying laps to keep in tow.
Yeah, he's only sitting about 0.6 back right now, so he's going to get some tow. But you can see, I mean, the gap was 2.2 seconds. It's now down to 1.2 between Everett Paddock and Carl Lemkool. So this second group of cars is right back into this race again. And Paddock does have the outright pace to get this done. The 5-lap average, he is almost 0.2 of a second quicker than both Chris Preston and David Porcelli. And as soon as Preston and Porcelli get to battling, that's going to close the gap up even quicker.
Yeah, that's the tough position that both of them are in, because like if you stay a single file, David's gonna have to lit off a lot because of all the draft. So you have no choice but to try the slingshot, but that's gonna poke such a giant hole in the that it's gonna make things real easy for Everett.
Well, Paddock has caught back up as Preston and Porcelli go single file through the bus stop this particular time. Already a couple of laps past the halfway point here in this one, down to 7 laps to go. Top 3 battling close. Good battle back here as well with Carl Lemkel, Richard Holt, Nagisa Yoshikawa, and Nicholas Daly. They're kind of doing the same thing as the leaders are. Maybe a little bit out of touch, though. Now the gap back up to 1.7 seconds between 3rd and 4th.
You know, back before they messed with the damage model, they could be bump drafting to get back up. But we can't have nice things.
Well, I will say if we're going for simulation, I don't know that you would see the Indy Pro 2000 guys bump drafting. Maybe not the brightest of ideas. I liked it, though.
Yeah, but the rule of cool, you have to leave it in just because of that.
I don't disagree with that. As much as it's a simulation, it's not the real thing.
Well, there's Everett's one blink of
Wow. Man, Porcelli was as close to bump drafting as you could possibly be. Great run for Everett Paddock. Is he going to be able to make it stick? Oh, he's got to back out. He couldn't get around Chris Preston. Was able to get Porcelli. Preston running a little bit wider line through the outer loop. That's not necessarily a corner, though, that you kind of have to hit the apex. You can run that a little bit wide and try to keep your momentum up.
Yeah, I don't know. I've always tried to hug inside line of that corner. The wide apex, you think it would work better, but it just never really has. Like, I've seen the car be able to carry a lot more momentum off the corner, completely wrapping around the curbing than taking the wide entry.
Well, and that's something that has kind of always been applicable in sim racing is, unlike the real world, there are some corners in the real world where you want to be heavy on corner entry and be willing to sacrifice a tiny bit out because of how the corner's set up. The sim racing world, especially the iRacing platform, is very much one that rewards backing the corners up a little bit.
Yeah, you got that right.
See, I know the theory, I just can't execute.
I feel that. I feel that in my soul.
Some guys call it an inability to perform, but we're going to stay away from that one again. Porcelli and Paddock continuing to battle, and the gap is closing. It's down to 1 second now between Porcelli and Lemkool. Almost feel like maybe a little bit of frustration building up here in Porcelli, maybe thinking he's got a little bit faster race car.
I think you're always going to be frustrated when you're third in a race like this.
Down to 5 laps to go here at Watkins Glen International. It's been a fantastic week of racing here on the National Racing Network. Great race in the Sim Racers Club on Wednesday night. Beef and controversy in the Ezra IndyCar Series race that wrapped up just a little bit ago.
Beef. It's not just what's on the side of Connor Baldwin's car.
No, that's going full tilt over there in the Ezra Discord server at the moment. And we're down to 4 laps to go in this absolute heater of a race at Watkins Glen for the Indy Pro 2000 Championship. The top 3 in the point standings entered the night separated by 6 points. They are currently separated on the racetrack by about a half second or so. Preston going to cover the inside lane. Paddock and Porcelli both going to look outside. Paddock not able to do anything. Wow. Big over the first 2 curbs in the inner loop.
I told you, this curb plays havoc with these cars.
Well,
you hold your breath every time you go over because you're just expecting it to land and snap on you. It takes the biggest amount of, what possible to strike that curb, and you need that to be quick. You lose several tenths, if you take that curb any easier.
Well, and James, I almost have to wonder, with the way the damage models work, we've seen cars in the Sim Racers Club events get damage from hopping curbs. Is that something we're seeing in Indy Pro and that these drivers have to think about?
I don't think so. We've dealt with this particular damage model several times throughout trips to the Glen, and we've been able to strike the curb hard, so it's not really any damage it's doing, it's just a lot of, it really upsets the car, so if you're off on where you hit it, it's gonna land the car in not a great spot. It's just gonna send it out.
I thought maybe David Porcelli was sitting back to get a run a little bit. We'll see what he's going to get here down the back straightaway. As Paddock again looks to the outside, and this time he will clear Chris Preston. Preston going to be right up under the attenuator through the outer loop.
Now, the $1 million question. Did he make that move too early?
You kind of have to wonder that, especially when... Oh, yeah, maybe. Well, maybe not, because Porcelli and Preston are battling, and Porcelli gets around. And this is bringing Carl Lemkuhl, Richard Holt, Nagisio Shikawa, and Nicholas Daly into the party. Down to 3 to go. The gap is sitting at 0.8 of a second for the race leader. And I'll tell you what, that move may have been sheer brilliance on the part of Everett Paddock. Because Chris Preston's sitting almost a second back. Preston is going to need drafting help if he's going to get caught back up. And quite frankly, he's not getting it. Carl Lemkuhl trying to get around to David Porcelli. I wonder if Porcelli doesn't have some damage on that race car, the way he's falling back.
That's what I'm wondering, too.
Oh, Lemkuhl slides through the inner loop. Richard Holt gets a little bit of an off track. We'll see if he gets a slowdown there or not, but Porcelli falling back through the field. Nagisio Shikawa ready to come past. He's going to try it on the outside. And I'll tell you what, James, sheer brilliance on the part of Everett Paddock to make that move. knowing he could force Chris Preston into a battle with David Porcelli.
Yeah, I'm shocked. Anticlimactic.
Maybe. White flag is out. 1 lap to go here at Watkins Glen. Everett Paddock leading Chris Preston by 1.3 seconds. 2.4 back to Richard Holt. Nagisa Yoshikawa getting around David Porcelli before they even get to turn 1. Nicholas Daly's going to have a shot here. Porcelli may fall back to 6th. The other one we got to remember here, James, is we do have a broadcast championship that's up for grabs here as well.
Yeah, oh.
Wow, that's going to put David Porcelli down into 1 point range here late in this race. Chris Preston making a valiant attempt to get caught back up, but it's going to take a mistake from Everett Paddock for that to happen. Entering the night, Everett Paddock, 4 starts, 3 wins on the season. All 4 of his results were top 5s. Off the final corner, twin checkers will go in the air, and Everett Paddock will get the win at Watkins Glen. Chris Preston going to come home second. Third goes to Richard Holt. Fantastic run for the 10 car. A mid-pack I rating lands up on the podium here tonight at the Glen. I'll tell you what, James, that race was fantastic.
That was pretty good.
Maybe slightly anticlimactic at the finish, but that's exactly what Everett Paddock was shooting for. Get David Porcelli and Chris Preston into a battle, let him check out a little bit, and that was kind of all she wrote. Just waiting on a couple of cars to finish here. Well, let's pick up Wes Shire here. He is completing his run around Watkins Glen. The Homestead Coffee Roasters Tales from Rjukan number 17 gives us a great segue into what's coming up here a little bit later in the year, the return of the TNT Shock Series. Mostly ovals on that schedule in these same PM18 machines.
It's nice to have Wes back out on the track.
Yeah, we didn't get to see a lot of Wes this summer. He was absolutely annihilated with things like work and real-world commitments. And good to see him able to turn some laps here. And quite frankly, this is almost, I would say, a little bit of a warm-up to getting ready for shock season. Wes no slouch on the road courses, but he is an absolute master on the ovals in these cars. As the number 17 comes around, let's show you our final race results. Everett Paddock, the winner by 1.2 seconds over Chris Preston. Richard Holt going to come home third to round out the podium. Nagisa Yoshikawa, Nicholas Daly, their top 5. David Porcelli, the final point scorer in the Broadcast Championship Series. He's going to be followed home by Carl Lemkool, Rod Eskew, Russ Addy, and Dylan Vilashinsky. Shire coming home 11th, Terry Taylor 12th, Stephen Thompson 13th, 14th to Kylo Ciacelli, and 15th Jason Miller. Benjamin Kopke going to finish in the 16th position. 17 through 20 tonight will belong to Alex Rassi, Derek Love, Frankie D, and Jay Dixon, all going out very early on from Kopke on down. Issues in the first 2 or 3 laps. In fact, your final 3 finishers not even getting through lap number 1. Race took about 37 minutes to get completed. You're hauling the mail when you're flying around Watkins Glen International, and now it is time for us to do our Victory Lane interviews, and we will start things off with our race winner tonight. Welcome back to Victory Lane, Mr. Everett Paddock. Congratulations on a fantastic drive tonight. James asked, did you make the move too early? And what it looked like you kind of did was set up Chris and David to get into a battle and kind of giving yourself a chance to check out.
Oh, you're giving me too much credit. I have no idea if I made it too early. I think sometimes you wait too long. I don't know. It's a tough call on that, but I think I'm not sure. I was talking to Chris. I think he said he had to check up a little bit, and I think that caught David out. So I was just kind of lucky on my end. And it's better to be lucky than good. We know that, right?
Yeah, I think we can say that. And man, I'll tell you what, this is a big one in the points championship here. Taking a look at standings entering the race, you were sitting third, but only 6 points back. Obviously, this will likely count as a drop week for David, but a lot of momentum here. I mean, obviously, for your 5th start and your 4th win of the season here in the PM18s, got to be a pretty big boost momentum-wise.
Yeah, that helps. I mean, it helps to get out to, it's easier to get ahead and stay ahead, that's for sure, than trying to claw your way back into it. So we'll have to put together a bunch of weeks here. A lot of racing left.
All right, buddy. Well, we appreciate you checking in with us here. And before we let you go, make sure you get all those big sponsor plugs and thank yous in.
Yeah, I appreciate that. First off, shout out to you guys on the broadcast. Appreciate it. Shout out to my teammates at TNT for practicing this week. And I don't know where Russ ended up. It looks like 9th. So he had a good run, top 10, 2 top 10s for us. So happy with that. Have a good weekend, everyone.
All right, bud. Thank you much. We appreciate you checking in with us here, Everett. And now it's time to talk to the guy who was our runner-up finisher here tonight. All in all, not a bad night for Chris Preston. Ultimately, you wanted to have a shot at Everett there at the end, but things just not kind of working out that direction. Talk us through the battle a little bit with David and Everett and kind of how things just got away there with a couple of laps to go.
Yeah, unfortunately, when I came out of the carousel there, I caught a bit of the grass and had to lift, and David just got caught between 2 mines and unfortunately just drove right into the back of me, which damaged his front wing. So unfortunate there. I'm sorry it happened, but it's one of those things. But it also cost me my chance at holding on to Everett. So, I kind of got my karma on that one. I had a fast race car tonight. I honestly didn't expect to be battling for the win, but after doing the 815 with these guys, I kind of knew my strategy and what I had to do, where the passes were, how to defend. So it almost worked out. I got, and I still got P2, so I'm happy with that.
Well, what do you think as we head next week into Oval Week? That one's a little bit of a free-for-all in some respects. What's the thought process there, kind of as we get ready to head down to Phoenix?
I don't know. I haven't done an oval in like 2 seasons now, so we'll see. Maybe I'll show up next week. Maybe not. I'll be honest. As much as I don't enjoy racing them, I love watching them. It's a lot less stressful from the spectator spot rather than being out there. So I don't know. Maybe I'll run some laps next week, and maybe I'll show up. You'll have to find out. But other than that, we've got a great lineup of road tracks coming up the rest of the season. So I'm really looking forward to all of those.
I am looking. This might be one of the best schedules that the community managers have put together in quite a while. There's not a race on here that I go, eh. I mean, these are all going to be absolute ragers. But before we let you go here, bud, make sure you get all those sponsor plugs and thank yous in.
of course, I got to thank Limo Boys Racing, Team Watson Racing, our sponsor, DeChaco Farms, and you guys for putting on a fantastic broadcast.
All right, bud. Well, thank you much. We appreciate you checking in with us here. And it took a bit of finagling and some help from the YouTube comment section, but we're able to get our first interview with Richard Holt here, buddy. Congratulations on picking up a fantastic podium finish tonight. The Target Chip Ganassi Lightning Bolts look fantastic on this PM18, and that was a heck of a run to put them up on the podium.
Yeah, it was a hell of a race. I hope you can hear me okay. I'm on my phone because I broke my headset.
Yeah, we got you, bud. Talk us through the night here. You had a great qualifying run. You kind of watched the whole first through third battle happen a bunch in front of you, and you were just able to pounce when the time was right.
Yeah, I was just kind of chilling there and hoping if they wrecked to keep out of it. I had more downforce than everyone else, so I couldn't really pass anyone on the straight, so I was just holding on, hoping maybe someone will make a mistake and I'll get through, and got lucky and avoided Carl when he spun.
Well, the replay we're showing is coming out of the toe of the boot. You had Save of the Year nominee thus far. How did you not bin that car about the midway point of this race?
I would love to say that was skill, but I think that was just pure luck.
You know what? Better lucky than good. That's what race winner Everett Paddock said in his interview. I'll take the same thing from you. Congratulations. That was a hell of a run up to the podium, and we're looking forward to talking to you more here every week.
Yeah, hopefully I'll get some more podiums for the end of the year. I've definitely stepped up a bit in the last few weeks, so hopefully I'll get some more.
Well, congratulations on it, brother. We're looking forward to it, and if you got any, make sure you get all those sponsor plugs and thank yous in.
Yeah, I'd just like to give a shout out to my team I run endurance races with, Avatar Auto Racing. Thanks to them for all the effort through the year. Thanks to you guys for the brilliant broadcast, and thanks to the Indy Pro community for the great racing.
All right, bud. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate you making the effort to get in here to chat with us, and we're looking forward to talking to Richard Holt more because, man, the guy is very similar trajectory, James, to what we saw out of Chris Preston starting like 2 or 3 seasons ago, where you went from mid-pack, you start to sneak towards the front, the number on the car starts to go down, and then all of a sudden you're contending for wins week in and week out.
Yeah, he's been really quick. He's been right up near the front for a lot of races, even races I've been in. So he's really starting to turn some heads.
Well, this has been an absolutely spectacular week of racing here on the National Racing Network. We got a ton coming up here as well. Next week, Sim Racers Club is back. The Ezra IndyCar Series is back, as are the Indy Pro 2000 Championship. And it's Oval Week. I can't wait. These cars at the Open Dogleg at Phoenix are absolutely nuts. We're going to have a lot of fun with it, but, man, I'll tell you what, James, before we go here, kind of wrap things up, this one was fun, exciting. We really saw a little bit of everything.
Yeah, man, races here just never fail to disappoint, man. The track is always the best, and I always just love watching anything run around this track. It's absolutely incredible.
Oh, man. The points have updated, and it's even tighter than before we started. It's now 65 points separating first place Chris Preston from 5th place Nagisa Yoshikawa. 4 points between Preston and Paddock at the head of the line. David Porcelli not making up any ground tonight. Basically a 0-point night with the way the week, kind of the rest of the week has shaken out. Porcelli still sitting on 359. Man alive, is this championship going to be good all the way to the end. But with that, it's time for us to get on out of here. It's been a fun night, but we got a bunch of work to do this weekend as well. So for James Watson and everybody here at the National Racing Network that makes these broadcasts happen, my name is Chris Graham. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We'll talk to you all soon. Have a great night, everybody.